my most favorite people in the world. Yay! Where'd she go? No, I'm kidding. Kathleen Cross with Vacation Living. Love this woman. So Kathleen, okay, I have to be professional now. No, I'm not going to start that. No. Tell us a little bit about Vacation Living.
Okay, so Vacation Living is a vacation property management company. So unlike a long-term management company that manages homes where you rent them for a year, 2 years, all of that, what we do is we manage vacation properties. So that's homes that are rented anywhere from like 3 nights to, it could be a year, but anywhere between 3 and 5 is usually about the average. And what's fun about our company is we really manage it from, within the property at the house, making sure the house is taken care of and all of that, all the way to like handling the marketing and talking with guests and, doing all of that. So it's good.
So what's the difference between what you're doing and what Airbnb does?
Okay, so that's a really good question because we use Airbnb, we use VRBO, Flipkey, a bunch of other platforms. Basically, those are platforms where you would advertise your house. So you can think of it kind of like Facebook. Like you are a person and Facebook is the platform. So we are the management company and Airbnb is the platform.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that that entities can take their properties and put them up there and be an entity. So it's an entity within an entity almost.
Almost, yeah. So you have the opportunity. What's really fun, so we manage lots of homes. So we've got a premier partnership with VRBO, which is now rebranded to Verbo. And then we also are super hosts on Airbnb. So all of our listings actually rank higher because we have such good relationships and a history of 5-star reviews.
So if someone was going to be maybe, tell me who your client would be as far as a property.
Okay, so this can vary a lot, and it's been really wonderful. So we live in Los Angeles, and a lot of people work in the film industry. So we do have a lot of homes where people live there, and then they travel for work, and they're going to be gone for 3 to 6 months, and they have to rent a place where they're going and all of that. And so they actually turn their home over, and then we manage it for those 3 to 6 months while they're out of town on different jobs. So we have some homes that we've been doing that with for 4 years as they work in different areas. Also, people who have homes who maybe they're looking at selling and they want to wait for the market to change. They either want to sell at a different time of the market or they're still looking at different neighborhoods. They're trying to figure it out. We've done that as well. And another one is families who have a family home that they're not ready to sell, but they're not currently living in it. And that way they can, continue to own it and have it, but also be able to make some income off of it.
So do you feel that, so if we had this beautiful home and one home you could just do a normal lease on for the year and just kind of do that normal kind of leasing, and then they had an opportunity to do what your company offers, do you think that there's, at the end of the day, do you think there's a financial benefit to do it your way versus the traditional way?
Obviously every situation is going to be different. So I can't, promise what people would end up making or any of that. When you have a house that's already furnished and you want to stay there, occasionally it really helps because you can block off your calendar. You can say, you know what, we're going to spend the holidays here, but we're probably not going to use the house for the rest of the year. Or we want to spend summer here, but we don't want it during the winter. So that way you have the opportunity in a vacation rental that you wouldn't have if you had done a standard rental. Another difference is that we get in to inspect the house every 3 to 5 days usually. So you know exactly how well your house is being taken care of. I get a report, it tells me the light bulb was changed. Where when you do a standard rental, you don't get that, and often you don't see the house for a year, 2 or 3 years.
Right. You don't know if they're bashing in walls or doing, doing whatever. Have you come up? against all the big party houses. Has that happened to you, or you guys are doing things different? Because I don't understand how that actually happens. So maybe you could, that's a two-part question for you.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't think the party houses get more press than the 99% of people who rent homes, and there's never a problem. We actually partner with a company that helps us do insurance and, you know, make sure that we have top-notch guests. It's something that's important for our homeowners, and it's something that's, you know, important for our guests as well. We do not allow any parties. We do not allow any events. So even something like a baby shower, we would say no to in our homes, because that's not what the homes are for. The homes are not for events at all. What they are is they're for traveling families, they're for working professionals. And if you want a location, we'll happily recommend, you know, different areas where you can host your event.
So if somebody has, especially since COVID, and they want to get out, if somebody says, oh, we're going to have a baby shower, we're going to have 20 of our best friends, and we're going to make it a destination shower, you're gonna nix that. You're not even gonna dip your toe in the water for that.
100%. And if we were to find out that something like that, you know, someone comes in, you know, I have great relationships with most of the neighbors of all of these homes, because my goal is that we are a good neighbor. So if I'm managing the home, I feel like I've become your neighbor, and I want to be sure I'm a good neighbor. So I want to be sure that the parking is happening the right way, that, you know, we're being quiet after 9 or 10 o'clock at night, depending on, you know, the day of the week. It is really important to me. And so if I were to need to drive over to the house and just say, hey guys, like, this actually can't happen, and it's written into all of our
Have you done that before?
I really haven't had to. The thing about, like, if you think about it, the thing about people who are renting these homes, it's you and me. It is your friends. You know, you think about, like, you went up to Big Bear and you rented a cabin, or you're going to the desert and you're renting a house. Like, it is really people just like you and me most of the time.
What, gosh, I have so many questions for you. I'm trying to think what's the best question for you. So what's your favorite house? Do you have a favorite?
It's interesting because there's different favorites for different reasons. There's a woman, so there's one story that I really like. There's a woman who came in and she rented one of our larger houses, and she would come in with her family, and she visited her daughter and her daughter's new husband. And so they came in and they rented the house, you know, a number of different times. And then her daughter had a baby. And so she came in and it was just her, and she was going to stay longer. So she rented one of our 1-bedroom houses, and then she stayed there. So, you know, for me, it's really different based on what the needs are of, you know, the different guests, because my favorite for her at that moment was that 1-bedroom, because it meant that she could be with her daughter when she had that new baby. And my favorite, you know, when she was coming in with her family, was the 4-bedroom with a pool, because then they could really have a destination to be together.
So if you've got, you know, because it's interesting, I've been learning from people that, especially because of COVID, and I'll ask you about COVID in a minute, but because of that, now that people can kind of get back out and everybody's kind of reopening on limited basis, is that you forget that a vacation can be literally, you know, down the street. You've just changed your atmosphere. And
exactly.
I think we don't put very much in. We think we have to go somewhere and have this grand pack up and, you know, go to some phenomenal location where you could just, you know, turn it off for a couple of days, and you probably got some amazing places.
One, you know, if you think about where we live, we're in Los Angeles. We're in a place where it's gorgeous most of the year. Like, there are a lot of really incredible homes, probably 20 minutes away, you know, that you could, and it gives you a refresh. It gives you a reset. Like, you don't have to drive really far. And that's been something that during COVID, we have experienced, is we're renting more to neighbors. We're renting to people who live within, you know, this area, because they want a break. They want to go swimming. They want to, you know, whatever it is, they just need a change, and they need good Wi-Fi. So we've got that.
What did you guys, so when COVID was in, you know, 200% lockdown, you're not supposed to be doing anything. Did your houses just sit, or were you guys able to still move people around with different restrictions?
So we really focused, and at that time we kind of went to, okay, let's switch to a more of a midterm rental. So another use of vacation rentals is with insurance. So if you had a flood in your house and you have to have your house and your floors redone and you need to be somewhere for 2 months. So since we had open availability, we were able to do that and help some families out and open up our houses to people who, did have damage in their home, and then do it at a month, 2 month, 3 month long basis.
So really what you guys can do, because I never really think about this, is that you guys, if we've got someone that sold their house and they want to be that perfect buyer right now with no contingencies, they could call you and say, look, it could take me a month. It could take me, 120 days, depending on how you've got things booked. I'm assuming you could probably accommodate somebody like that.
Yes, and we have. In fact, we have a renter right now that did the same thing. They sold their house. It sold quickly, which they were very excited about, but they haven't found the house they want to move into yet. And so they're in this position where, they know the neighborhood. They know, they know what they're looking for.
Right.
And they haven't found it, but
right.
They sold their house. So now they're living with us in one of our homes. And so they have about a 3-month rental while they're living with us, and kind of making sure and checking the area and seeing, when that perfect house comes, like you said, they can jump on it.
Right. It's also, I would think, for people that are coming into the area that don't know it, it's kind of a cool pit stop to test drive neighborhoods.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's exciting. So tell me tell me a little bit about, like, what's one of your most unique homes that is always rented, and tell me why.
So one of our unique homes, and there's a couple of different ones, but I'll pick Venice. We have a 4-bedroom home in Venice that is on Venice Street Box. And I don't know if you know that neighborhood, but it's a neighborhood where all the houses are accessed by sidewalks.
Oh,
and
neat.
It's really cool, and it's really fun and different. And that's rented at a month-long basis. So that one, the minimum of the stay is 30 nights.
And why?
So you have to follow the rules of the different cities in which the homes are in. So the city of LA, unless it is your primary residence, it needs to be a minimum of 30 nights. And so that home is not the primary residence of its owner, and therefore we rent it at a minimum of 30 nights. And that works. It works for the owner. They get to come in when they want to come in, and it works for the guest who, gets to stay there. And kind of, a lot of times, I would say probably 80% of the renters we've had there have rented while visiting family for a longer stretch of time.
Have you found that it's hard with all of the changing rules about short-term rentals, vacation rentals, that you're kind of jumping because cities are changing and code is changing? Is that difficult for you guys to stay up with and keep your bookings?
I wouldn't say it's difficult. What I think the hardest thing that I come across is people's perception of what a vacation rental is, and the thought that it's a party house. And this idea that I don't want it in my backyard. I don't want, like this idea that we're not good neighbors. And I think that that's something that is my biggest, I think once people actually realize, how well it can be managed and how well it can be taken care of and how beautiful the homes are. And, we can really, it can be a really good thing. And so I think that's the biggest thing, that is, kind of realizing and helping people change their perspective once they realize how positive it can be.
Because I think that, if I was on your site and I'm going, oh, let me go to vacation living versus going to Airbnb, in my brain, I'm thinking they're two different entities, but they're really not, because you're going through Airbnb. So what I hear you saying is that most Airbnbs, most vacation rentals, neighbors are not understanding. They don't have a lot of clarity. They just see the flashes on the news of these horrible houses with all these hundreds of thousands of people.
And I've worked for this company nearly 10 years.
Okay.
And I couldn't, you know, like there's not enough news stories of all the great things and all the great things that have happened and the people that I've met and the relationships that I've built and, you know, really become a global community in a way of all of these different visitors and people who come back, you know, year after year for the same time and to visit family and to do that, or, you know, single parents who come in and the children live here. And so they have a home that the children are comfortable with, that they get to know. And every, you know, every other month or so, they come in for 2 weeks and they stay. Like, it's a gift to be able to offer a lot of those things.
So when a client calls you and says, hey, I'm thinking about it, I'm concerned my neighbors are going to be upset.
Mm-hmm.
What would the process be to make that client that's thinking about turning their house into a vacation rental? What would your approach be with the client, and what would your approach be to the neighbors so that everybody lives? I get what you're saying, but some people are not going to be as easily driven.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to them to give them a certain level of comfort?
Well, I think that the important thing is that they know that we're here. It's not an absentee house. This is something where we're screening the guests that are coming in. You know, just as if I was bringing someone into my own, you know, my own home, I'm doing the same thing in all the homes that we manage.
Okay. And that makes sense because you could do a long-term rental with, you know, ABC Realty, and you could have this monster there, and you look at, you know, the restrictions.
You're stuck with them for a year or two.
And yeah, and you're stuck with their 5 old cars, and they rented out rooms. So did the rules about having people leave because, or telling people they can't stay longer, did you just completely go around that whole COVID rules? Because right now in the city of LA, you cannot give people notice to move because of COVID, and people have.
Oh, you mean, okay.
So difference?
Yeah, there's a difference because there's no lease. You're not signing a lease. You don't have renter's rights. This is not something in which you become the renter like a standard lease would be. This is 3 to 5 days. You know, and people are usually, you know, traveling like that.
And sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. And even if they do a 30, 120 day, they're not rolling into that renter's right, are they?
That's really technical, and we can get into that maybe off of
yeah.
Because that gets really technical.
Because I'm just thinking that for some people, this may be a much better alternative for them now. And then they can kind of test drive it, and they may even tend to like it. But does their house have to be furnished if they want to do a vacation living?
So it's better if the house is furnished. Okay. Only because it's less money up front for the owner.
Okay. What if it's not furnished? What do you do?
If it's not furnished, and we've started with houses that are not furnished. We actually have design consulting. So if people wanted to work with us, we can help them design. When we do a proposal, so let's say you wanted to rent out your home. What would happen is, you know, you talk with me, we set up a time to go through the house, and I would go through the house and I would kind of make notes. I usually take pictures because it helps me remember. And then I go home and I make a proposal, and I look at all the comps in the area, and I look at, you know, the style of the house and really what's in demand. And then I price it based on that. I also give recommendations. Maybe you have a partially furnished home, but you need a dresser in this room. The couch needs to be updated. You need art on the wall. All of those things are broken down by room in this proposal. Then I give you the proposal, and you're able to look at it and say, okay, this is what it looks like I would make. This is an idea of where we would be at, what we would be advertised at. And this is, you know, you would look at as well a standard rental and see what works best for your situation. And I like to do that. And I do that, obviously I do that for free. It's a consultation, because what matters is that the homeowners are happy with what is happening, that their neighbors are happy with what is happening, and then we can create a fabulous experience for the guests.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. That's good to know that because there's people out there that don't think, oh my gosh, I have to have it furnished. It has to be perfect in order for you guys to walk in. And it really doesn't.
It's almost better if it's not to your idea of perfect, because like I said, I've done this for 10 years, and we have computer programs that help us know what are the key features that people are looking at in every different market. So we have homes in Los Angeles area, greater Los Angeles. We have homes in Miami, Puerto Rico, Delray Beach, Colorado, and we're opening up right now into the desert. And so, all of those areas have different key features that people want. And so I have a computer system that can tell me, okay, these are the things people are looking for here. So I can ensure that all of our listings have those keywords in it. They have those characteristics checked off, so that when people do a search, your home is going to show up.
That's good to know. So what's one thing we haven't talked about that people would be surprised to know about your business, your rentals? What do you think? Anything?
I think people are always surprised to find out that we're an all-female company.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. So tell me a little bit of the history behind Vacation Living and who started it.
Okay, so it was started by two women who were friends since college, and they live on different coasts, and they both had this idea that this would be a really fun thing to do. And they actually started with their own homes. And so they started first renting out their personal properties and grew from there. I happened to live next door to one, and had my second child, and it no longer was cost effective for me to leave the home and work. And so they asked for some help, and I was like, absolutely, I would love to help. Right. And we just grew. And you think over the last 10 years, how much vacation rentals have grown, and how it has given people access to have experiences that they wouldn't before. Like, I can't afford to buy a cabin, but I can go to the cabin, a cabin for a week.
Or the beach, awesome. Or it's much cheaper to let somebody else own it in certain areas. Sometimes and it's much easier to go, okay, close the door, and then off you go. And then you go and see a different destination. I think it's a great concept. I'm excited to know that, especially nowadays, where women need to have more recognition, and they're getting there, and to have a company that's a successful company that's run by women. That's
all women.
That's
great.
Fantastic. And they all get
they're great women.
They all get along. Women get along. People stop with the
it's awesome. It's a great team, I've got to say. And the thing I think that's different about Vacation Living than some of the other property management companies, we really love what we do. And we do it because we love it, and you can tell. So when you go into a house, it's as if, somebody curated it for you, because somebody did. We thought about it. We were like, oh, what books would we want to read? What would we want to have in here? Like, oh, we've got to have a throw pillow and, a good blanket on the couch, because you want to snuggle with your tea and have this. Right. We have gift baskets. We leave a personal handwritten note. Like, there are things that a boutique agency like we like to pay attention to, those little things, because that's what makes a difference. It feels so great when you walk into a home and someone's left you a note, and there's a bottle of wine for you, and you just are like, oh, I'm home.
Yes. It's the little tiny details. It's not that you have this stunning house you walk into. It's that you walk into this stunning house, and now I talked with a stager the other day, and she said, "You're telling a story." And what you're doing is you want them to be able to leave there and tell a story about this wonderful experience. That's exciting. That's very exciting. So, okay, so now I'm going to put you on the spot as we wrap things up.
Okay.
And then at the very end, I'm going to have you give all your contact information.
Okay.
So since we're trying to help small businesses and get forward, two businesses that you want to give a shout out to, and naturally who you think I should be talking to next, so that we can share their story.
Awesome. Okay. So I would go first to somebody who or a company that has donated to my kids' school a ton, which would be the Baskin Robbins and Togo's on the corner of Rosemont and
Foothill.
They have been awesome. And then the other one is Once Upon a Time, which is a local bookstore. And it is a brick and mortar bookstore that you can go in and you can touch the books and you can open them and you can tell them what you're interested in and they'll send you to the right section. And I just think they're great.
Okay, wonderful. I will reach out to both of them. So before we go, contact information if we want to come and get a fabulous place from Kathleen, what are we doing?
All right. So first, the website is vacationlivingrentals.com. So that's vacationlivingrentals.com. And that's where we are. So you can find me there. Yeah. There's a contact us button right there. And anytime you have a question or, you know, you want to think about something, feel free to reach out.
Yay. Well, thank you so much. I miss seeing you.
I know. My kids were so excited that I got to see you today.
Well, tell the kids I said hi. I see all
they miss you
on Facebook. I miss seeing them, especially at the Commons. So, but we'll be back together at some point, right?
We will, absolutely. And the Commons will be alive with all the little voices again and all the little feet, and it'll be awesome.
I know. Thank you again, Kathleen. I'll chat with you later. Bye. Bye.